Welcome to Tour Truck Tuesday. We're here at the Kingdom, beautiful day, joined by David Woods.
What's up, buddy?
The co-creator of the Pro SENDR. Those of you that checked out the video before with Woodsy and myself, that was the first time I got to see this beautiful product. It's helped me a lot. We'll put all the links to everything below. But one thing we were just talking about, it's mid-season.
Right.
This can be a fantastic tool for everybody, but you must use it correctly, especially mid-season, right?
Yeah, I think you don't want to get in the middle of the prime of your season where you're trying to score and play in a lot of golf tournaments and you're grinding and working on a million different things. You got to be able to segregate your time, right? Like there's a time to use the Pro SENDR to warm up, per se, for your, for the round ahead of you. And there's also a time to go on a Monday where you don't have any events, you don't plan on playing, and get into more of a deep dive.
So you mentioned there on a Monday when you don't have any events, and that's relating to the tour success you've had with the product. I'm going to loosen up a bit here as well. But with tour players, if we start at the top first and then work to 15 handicappers, shall we say, what are you working with the most with this with tour players? Obviously, there's a few different sections. I'm sure people are now familiar with it. But when it comes to your tour boys, what are you going through with it the most?
So yeah, I'd say what we see a lot on tour each week is the guys that are using the Pro SENDR, and there's a variance, right? Like some guys just use the cradle, and some guys like Cam Smith only use the wrist cuff and the ball because they like how that works with their matchups. The guys that are using just the cradle, what we're seeing is they'll put it on to begin their round, or not to begin their round rather, but to begin their warm up
at the golf
round, just to try to get into their kind of their sweet spot of where they want to get their swing back to. Yeah. So just putting the training wheels, if you will, onto their warm guidelines. Try to feel high and wide, not too radial, which is trying to prevent some overhinging.
So high and wide.
Like the Pro SENDR promotes high and wide because it's got a lip on the index finger that limits overhinging. So most people, as they swing back, their arm swing gets in and short, and the only way to get the club to go longer is to overhinge it, okay? So what this promotes is you feel that edge catch, and then you feel, okay, I can't go anymore with my wrist. This is incentivizing me to let the arms rise.
So almost
width and height.
Okay, good. So in this early part of the golf swing, certainly in a warm-up, literally just feel the first section here, then
feel the width and the height.
Okay. Yeah. Now that's one of the things I talked about that I like about it. It makes you responsible.
Absolutely.
Some training aids that you can get, they put you in places.
Absolutely.
So for July, I'm responsible.
Yep.
I just worry that as a player, and I know this is something we talked about, if I'm standing here, I want to be focusing all on target at this stage. But it's all interesting that with tour players, you get to use this even in warm-up.
Yeah, honestly, I see some of these guys using it. They're not even quite in the mode of even picking a target yet. And these are the best players in the world. They're literally slapping it on, hitting a few like 70% speed wedge shots or even as high up into 7-iron. Right. But they're not overly getting carried away with, intensified practice at this point. During the week, let's say, on a Wednesday or a Thursday even, they're warming up with it. They're just trying to feel those positions. Yeah. They're trying to get that lead wrist flat, the right wrist into extension. Yeah. Trying to feel that width, trying to get their body to rotate. Yeah. And you mentioned something very interesting. There's a big difference, I feel, between what a pro is looking for out of the Pro SENDR and what a 15 or 18 handicapper should be looking for. Okay. They don't know what they're looking for yet. Yeah. The pros are setting into that wrist cradle, they're changing direction in it, and then most of them are trying to get away from it because they're at a point where their game is obviously good enough. They can time having a minimal amount of shaft lean, controlling the dynamic loft. But most amateurs, they don't have control of their low point. Most of them are the other way, and they're flipping.
So they're trying to stay on this thing.
So we want a higher handicap player to set into that cradle and stay in it for what feels like forever. Yeah. Like literally past the ball, past into extension.
And wouldn't that be a dream sit picture right there?
Right?
Handle ahead. They just don't get that.
Handle fully ahead like that. Now, like I said, the pros, they're trying to go ahead and release on their own pattern. Yeah. So there's some,
which again is where this is brilliant because it doesn't hold
it doesn't
you.
hold you there. It doesn't force you in a position, which is I think why it's become so popular. With we probably have now more like close to 70 PGA Tour and LPGA Tour players using it.
Okay.
And we've sold over 20,000 units in the first 5.5 months, which is absurd for training aid, right?
Yeah.
So it's popular.
Insane.
But I don't think it's it's been popular for a number of reasons. I think having tour presence helps, but the feedback we get from purchasers where they're like, oh my God, this thing really helps me in a short window of time. They can see immediate feedback. And that's why it's been kind of, a bit of a phenomenon this summer.
One thing I want to talk about, I know when I look at TrackMan that as you talked about dynamic loft, my launch angle, I know they're good. This is a 9-iron.
Okay.
So we would take I've got launch angle 23. I've talked a lot on this channel, guys, about getting half of the loft on the blade for the launch. One thing I have noticed is club path.
Yeah.
0.6.
Absolutely.
Let me just explain that just so people follow. 0.6, a positive number means the blade is moving this way. I'm going to put a link to the video we did before, but check out my path.
It was quite a bit.
Always.
It was always left.
This is a 9-iron, so I'd be accepting of a 9-iron being that way. And that's neutral. That's what this has given me, because that's important to me. And I'm playing better as a result of neutral path.
And I think the reason why, because that's the bigger question, why is it 0.6 now?
Better understanding of transition.
I think better understanding of transition, but to your point earlier of taking responsibility for your learning, that you are a perfect example of that. You work really hard at your game. So this has allowed you to feel that back of that hand in the cradle, which has helped you shallow. Okay, but because the hand's on there and quiet for a long way into the downswing, it reduces face angle,
flip.
The variance in the face angle for you. It's dramatically reduced.
And I look at Austin, who hopefully we're going to get to film with here a little later. He's just getting his fitting, but your son, and he has some fantastic face awareness.
Yeah,
I mean that's a great example.
Since he was a little kid, that was one priority for me was teach this kid face control. Yeah, and you can add the other pieces as time goes on, but once you know where the face is, most of the time, you become a pretty surgical striker.
Yeah. So let's talk about this, the sphere. For my swing first, because I'm obviously, you come here, I'm trying to pick your brain for me here, I'm not asking for a friend. I get this way.
Yep, most people do.
A lot. Yep. I'd love to be here. Truth is, I can even feel the strain here on my shoulder. But this is close for me, and I like the feeling, but I wouldn't warm up with this. I would make the decision not to. But I've seen Cam Smith warming up with it.
Absolutely.
So what's the deal? What's the...
Yeah, I think it's preference. So the sphere is designed to create connection, to keep the arms more in front of you. And ultimately, the reason that it's small and close to the wrist proximity is because of the torques and the forces applied to the grip in transition. Okay. So when you put this ball very close into the wrist joints, and you squeeze the grip in transition, which we all do. There's a twisting and a torquing that's measurable. Like it's been measured many times. That happens during transition. And when you squeeze the trail wrist into the ball, which leads into the lead wrist, that creates a shallowing effect. Okay.
So why do some players get the cup?
A lot of it, like Rory's left wrist looks a little cupped to the top because he's got a very, very strong left-hand grip. Okay, so very strong, combined with an arm that wants to go in, which is why he's working hard, feeling the club more up in front of him and trying to get his, the back of his right wrist into the wrist cradle. When he's using the Pro SENDR. Stronger grip, it might have a little variance because I don't know if you've got a really crazy strong grip, it's going to be hard without the face being DJ to get it into that wrist cradle, okay? So we're trying to create neutrality.
So I have a weak grip, a weak left hand. So again, just to explain this and try and keep it weak means if I look from my eyes, and I can only see old school sort of 1.5 knuckles. Rory Langer
like that
would be strong,
absolutely.
seeing 4 or 5. Now, differences as you see at the top, for me, again, generational, worried about left. I know we talked about that in the first video. So I've tried to move that stronger. But in the end, I then catch early and just don't get, I've just gone back to where I'm at.
I was going to say, why change your grip, right? Like, it only matters that your grip matches what your body does. So it doesn't matter that your grip is weak, neutral, or strong. We just got to make sure the rest of your body mechanics match what's holding the golf club. Because this is the GPS of the golf swing. This is the most important thing. It's the only thing touching this.
Yeah.
So I don't care what you do with ground force. I don't care what you do with rotation. If this isn't in command, it's really, you're not getting the most out of everything in your golf swing.
Totally agree with that.
This is king, people. Like if you don't have a command of your hands on the golf club, and your hands, like, turn and face the camera for a second. Everything you do with your hands controls this guy.
Yeah.
So you open it this way, obviously the face is open. You roll it this way. This is everything that has to do with this golf club. That's the reason I think why people are finding so much advantage with the Pro SENDR is it focuses in on the most important part of your body, which is the items holding the golf club.
Yeah. So one of the things I've noticed with the weak grip, I can still get into the positions, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so with a weaker grip, you're going to feel a wrist set angle that's more this way, right?
Yeah.
And less radial.
Okay. Okay.
I like that.
Now, one of the things I've noticed, and that ball was evident of that, gentle, like left to right falling.
Yep.
Would that be because I'm getting more efficient on the path, that the face, now there's room actually on this subject to go stronger in the grip?
Or rotate out of it a little bit more dominantly. I'd rather see you do that. I'd rather see your exit be a little bit more left with the hip and grip.
So this is exactly the same, and that's another thing that you always see with these. That's my fingerprint. That's a sentence that you used on the first lesson that I had, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So exit a bit more left.
I don't want you to change anything that you don't have to.
Yeah.
And that grip is plenty strong, by the way.
Okay.
I don't think that that's that weak. Just rotate. See there? Let your body control that club face a little bit more.
And then that goes to a -1 path.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all, right?
Okay, for an iron.
For an iron?
Yeah.
That's pretty close.
One of the things I struggle with is, and again, we're sort of getting into a tune-up here for me, head gets outside of hand path on the way down.
On the way down, yep.
How do I get more there?
Yeah.
Am I going to get more there?
Yeah, so one other thing...
Do I need to be there?
I mean, it just depends. If you're hitting poles, right? If the ball's starting left and traveling left, you probably need to address that the center of mass is coming outside the hand path at last parallel. But if you're not, you don't want to get too deep in the weeds, and that's the second part of what we're going to talk about today is the difference between maintenance and working on your swing or building a new swing, right?
Okay. I'm literally just feeling this. I think it's the same thing. As long as I turn left, we're all good.
Yep. And I've got something I want you to try when we get into more of deep dive stuff that you maybe won't even do this month. This might be when you go into the fall and get more into like, okay, because I've watched your swing get a lot better in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
So when you go into that time of year for you, and we live in Southern California, so it's beautiful all the time.
Yeah.
But when you go to that time of year for you, which might be in the fall, where you're going to say, okay, I'm going to take my swing to the next step.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that in a minute. But for right now, while you're in the heart of your summer, and the people that are watching this are in the heart of their, like, let's say, tournament season, we want to talk about little things that we utilize the Pro SENDR to make sure they're maintaining rather than building. Pretty good right there. What do you got there for TrackMan? Pretty good right there.
-1.2.
Yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah.
Your goals in the month of July when you're playing a lot of golf is to make sure you're warming up with the Pro SENDR, but you don't get right into it. Like hit a few balls, get comfortable, and then try hitting some just wide 3/4 length shots. Like I'd love to see you with a pitching wedge, feeling wide, not very radial, not very overhinged, and just trying to feel clipper divots, wide arc, rotated swing.
So it's a 7-iron, but you were saying before, like take the speed out. I get narrow this way. I think that needs to be a blend for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, rotation's going to help with that. Right?
Yep.
And that one is the outside move, so that's a good transition that we're talking about. That one is head down.
Exactly. So I got a fix for you on that one. So let's get
two on a span. Let's have it. Yeah.
So let's get on to that for a second. So we're going to touch a little bit, and we can come back to more of that kind of mid-season maintenance stuff. But if we talk a little bit more about, okay, how do we now address the errors that you feel you have in your swing? And you mentioned one where you get a little bit
makes me want
outside,
to be sick
right?
every time. I feel it when it's here, and then I throw up by the time it gets here.
You get a little over it that way.
Sick.
The club that gets outside the hand path, and you get that feeling of pull. Okay, whether it pulls or doesn't. That's
which is why I think I worry when you say exit left. I worry because I feel like I'm going to come from out here and go that way. Exaggerated. That's what I worry about.
But I'll tell you what. Do that again for a second.
Yep.
Okay. Now exit up and left. You always think left because you heard once the talk about swinging left became the talk, which wasn't that long ago, right? In our generation of growing up in golf. And you'd hear like low left, swing it low, swing the handle low left. It's not low left. It's left and up. It does not go. How would you swing low left and maintain right side bend, okay, and stay on your swing arc? How could you? The grip's got to go up and left. The ball's never going left if you're in this position. It's going to go left if you're in this position. Which is where I'm right. And then this is low left, and you're covering it and on top of it, and the club head gets outside the hand path. Right? So
it's more shoulder down and forward that way.
You know what it is? It's a feeling of you're in the gym on a cable pull that's over your right shoulder, and you pull it down to the ball and rip it up left. That's the feeling. You got to get up and left. It's not down and left.
So down and left would be this way, and up and left.
You better be planning on hitting a low cutter if you're going to come over it and down and left. And even then, that center mass better be inside the hand path for that one. I think of DJ. DJ cuts everything. The center mass is way behind his hand.
I think of Alex Noren when I watch him at tour events. He's this way.
Exactly.
But you're saying that.
You got to feel more up and left. And when you first try that, you might hit a groove down. But you've got to feel up and left with that handle, and you're going to me, that's going to give you your best ball flight. I mean, only if you like high and straight, right? And now see where you got to? When you finish, you're in full right side bend.
Yeah,
rip that handle up into 2 o'clock, or 10 o'clock rather. Quite close there.
It's high.
I like it. I mean, I like that right there. That's a shot you can hit.
So get rid of the fade by...
Yeah, you can get rid of the fade by getting rid of the face. Square release. Not roll release. Full square release. Here, do that again. Square release.
Instead of that way.
No. Instead of... You and I were taught to release it like this. Okay? For everybody looking here. I'm pronating as trail arm. That's how we grew up learning how to release the club face to hit a strong draw. Okay? Give me a Justin Thomas release that's on your spine tilt. So if you looked down the line, the face is going to match your spine angle. Okay? So it's not a flip because it's post-impact. It's just the point of not holding off. See how that's straightened out? Okay? And I'm sure you can find that exact spot if you hit balls for 20 minutes by yourself of where the release feels the best for you.
Yeah, I gotta figure that out.
That one a little wiped. So that one to me, that's the center mass getting sneaking outside, right? There you go. And release. Square it up. Open your body up. Release it.
That was the best one of it.
Beautiful right there. So you did two things different there. You let it release instead of dragging so much lag. And instead of getting stuck like this, you fully released open. Okay? It's interesting to me, like us golfers, the scar tissue is heavy, right? So no matter how self-aware you are that there was a fear of left,
well, that's a -5 in there. Path. But it's got to be this way, hasn't it? So draw then. Let's just get back on the draw path.
Beautiful.
So that's just a bit more release. It was a little pull though, so it'll still be path left, but that was released. -2, and then path released. So go draw again.
Okay. Beauty. So one thing, let's get back into what I originally was going to mention to you about kind of long range work for you. You and I have talked a million times about your desire to shallow the golf club more. Okay, this has been like a couple-year plan, and it's dramatically more shallow than it used to be, like dramatically. But I don't want you trying to shallow by going.
I don't think you can. That's the conclusion I've come to.
You better be made of rubber to do that. And it's just there's a lot of ways to shallow.
I think the swing goes too quick.
Let's shallow it the easiest possible way, and that's by elongating the trail arm. you've got to feel like the trail arm literally goes completely away from you, and the club head feels low to where the first 10 times you do it, you fat
the ball, yeah.
Okay?
Just more width.
So I want you to feel like you're not swinging to the ball, you're swinging over your yellow towel there. Not like this, not with the body down, like I want you to feel like you're casting it, but behind you.
Yeah. Bit Justin Rosey.
Yes. So that's going to allow you to be wider on the way down.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's going to allow that club to get back to square easier. You're not going to drag so much lag, right? How's that?
So how do you get rid, though? I get it, this is long-term conversations, but how do I get rid of
the low point behind?
Yeah.
Okay. So the low point behind, when you're throwing this way, you get into right side bend and you slide through it. You've got to be able to get it into right side bend and make this trail shoulder cover the ball. Okay, so you're concentrating on going this way right now, and you're getting into a bit of a lateral. Okay, so you've got to send it this way. Your left glute goes back, your chest stays down, and the right shoulder covers the ball. So it's a bit of that move there. Elongating the right arm, but you still covering the golf ball.
Mm. So that was minus 0.6, so it's moved that path, so that means it's correct. So you're saying there.
Yeah, right there. So cover it, but get rid of it. How'd that feel?
Pretty good. I bet it'd be outside of it on the
All right.
path. Yeah, minus 4.
Try to feel what you're doing before you get married to the TrackMan number. And remember that most of the people that are working on this stuff, they don't have the TrackMan in front of them anyways. So I think we can get a little too in love with the number sometimes.
But I don't want to get lost.
I don't want you to either. But I'm saying find the feel and then say, okay, now I understand what I'm trying to do. Now I'm going to concentrate on TrackMan for the next 5 swings type thing.
Yeah.
Because I know that you, with very little effort, can change your path from in to out or out to in.
I can also get playing pretty.
Yeah, okay. So can we all.
So what I prefer then, I know what that's done, but what I prefer about these, I don't like, maybe it's because we're into wind, so subconsciously I don't want to hit it up in my nose, you know what I mean? All right, but that still wasn't here.
Yeah, and then just cover it with the chest. Don't get too far behind the ball. There you go. So land in the left foot, cover it.
That was close.
I mean, that looks pretty good.
It's close. Land on the left and cover it.
Yeah, you got to feel like you're landing. It's not sliding, right? It's just pressure down and then just get that trail shoulder to wipe across the ball. See, I quite like that. I think that's close. Your path might have got a little left there.
Yeah.
But I like that movement there.
But I got to get the club back on the towel.
Just keep that club getting closer to the ground. Beautiful. So that's kind of what you go into the barn and really grind on, right?
Yep.
Versus, okay, I'm in the mode of warming up. I want to use the Pro SENDR to feel the width, to reduce the radial, to make sure that at P6 I've got the center of mass behind the hand path,
halfway down,
which you will achieve by keeping the back of the right wrist against the cradle. That's
and by getting the more width.
And feeling the more width, right? And I think, working on some drills that are just,
60%
speed, where you're almost trying to feel like you're hitting up on the ball with an iron. Right? Where you're trying to get the club head low to the ground and hit little scrapers and clip them up. You watch the best players in the world wedge it, and there's exceptions. Some guys are taking big giant divots with a sand wedge. But the best, you watch Rosie, you mentioned, I mean, he hits these little clippers. Jason Day hardly even takes a divot when he's hitting these
go
short
back in
shots,
time,
right?
Tom Kite, the best. So run me through then the sphere. If someone is in a situation like me, which you say most people are, this way, introduce that. Or where you're more getting that for connection? Yeah,
I think you're using the sphere more for connection and creating width and keeping the club in front of you.
Okay.
And feeling that shallow.
So if someone's like me with the club, I get the club in front of me.
I would focus on the cradle. Like, you've got to, I always tell everybody, get really good with the cradle only.
Before you go to that.
Then introduce the ball. When the ball's on, you're not even, hitting full shot. Like maybe, wedges in the 8-iron with the ball for connection, feeling the rotation of the body, feeling the club in front of you. And then you see guys like you mentioned, Cam Smith, who Cam's matchups for his wrist angles, unless he wanted to make a monumental change to his position at the top, which why would you when you're Cam Smith and this has worked the way it's worked for him? He's just trying to keep the club in front of him, feel way more connected, and quiet down some of what's going on up there. And the ball, that feeling of push for him in the wrists, and he's, in his words to me, having that ball be smaller and closer to the wrists is what he's really found that he likes. And that's why he uses it. Like I was standing with him at the US Open on the range. I mean, if he hit 100 balls, 90 of them were with the Pro SENDR on.
Yeah.
And this is the week of a major. So these are, you talk about...
It's maintenance.
It's maintenance. It's maintenance. So he's not working on something. It's just along for the ride as he's, getting prepared to play.
Woodsy, thank you for stopping by.
Absolutely.
I think that gives it you right. These things are everywhere. The boys have done an unreal job, but maintenance. I want to dive deeper into that and get going on it, but as Woodsy says, like time of year maintenance, validated by the best players in the world at the best tournaments in the world. If you want to get one of these, check it out in the link below. Also, be sure to check out David Woods' Instagram. I'll put all the tags and the links and stuff that you need down in the description. He's over at the Vintage, over in Palm Springs, Palm Desert area. See some of the best players in the world. Come past his range, always works with them. Be sure to check him out.
Thanks
buddy.